Studio news readers dress in smart business wear such as suits or business dresses. They talk directly to the camera and usually sit behind a desk. This gives a formal look, making the programme seem serious. Field reporters also dress in smart business wear. They are usually at a related scene which shows a small insight into what is happening at that time from what is going on around them. They give facts about what has happened. Having a field reporter allows the audience to have information about an incident that has just happened. This makes the information more reliant, as it is not passed through different people first. Links to studio are short and straight to the point. This is so that time is not wasted and more information and stories can be broadcast. Studio news readers are the centre of a news programme. Having links to the studio from field reporters allows information to be passed from the audience from different scenes and environments. In news reports, studio news readers and field reporters talk directly to the camera. This implies they are talking to the audience directly. Interviews within the news come in a range of styles. The interviewee tends to be placed to the left or right of the frame. They are filmed in a medium shot. Usually, the background will relate to the topic at hand. The interviewee tends to look at the person who is interviewing them, and not the camera. This is a formal type of interview, which tends to be with a professional of some kind. Some interviews are done by field reporters at an event. These tend to be less formal and with witnesses of the event or the police. Again, the interviewee tends to be placed to the left or right of the frame. Sometimes the interviewer will also be in the frame as well. Experts are usually interviewed in the studio or over a video call. The interviews involve questions about the related event or how the expert is involved. Interviews with experts are usually formal, whereas interviews with witnesses are usually informal. They will be outside the location of the event or where the witness was at that time. News stories are put into a regional or national running order, from most important to least important. This is so that the audience are able to hear the most important news first. The biggest and most important news would depend on what has happened, where, and who it has affected. For example, if the BBC were to report on an earthquake in America, it would go to the middle of the list. However, if the earthquake had injured or killed someone who lived in the UK, the importance of the story would rise and it would go to the top of the list. Actuality footage is when a real event is filmed and there is no editing to the footage. One of the first actuality films is people leaving a factory. This type of footage is raw, and it is used to record events and ideas and to inform viewers and convey opinions. Documentary styles were developed by the American theorist Bill Nichols. He created this concept as he wanted to distinguish the particular traits and conventions used in documentaries. Types of documentaries include poetic, expository, observational, interactive, reflective, and performative. A poetic documentary has a topic that is personal to people involved, which is usually the presenter or interviewees. This type of documentary will emphasize certain aspects of a person's life. They will then be presented via music, camera shots, angles, and editing. The music in the documentary is key. This is because it develops the mood and tone of the story, which includes the message and hidden value. Expository documentaries are usually non-fiction films. There is direct access to the audience. There are also social issues that are assembled into an argumentative frame with a voiceover which is narrative. This emphasizes what is happening with argumentative logic. An observational documentary is where the filmmaker is a neutral observer. This means that they simply watch and film events. Nothing is rehearsed or staged. The filmmaker cannot influence what is happening and is usually out of shot. Observational documentaries tend to be about wildlife. Interactive documentaries involve events and situations being influenced and altered by the presence of the filmmaker. This type of documentary also emphasizes the interaction between the filmmaker and subjects. They usually take form of a series of interviews and direct involvement from conversations. A reflective documentary is where the audience engages with the content of the documentary as it happens. Issues of realism and representation are acknowledged. This type of documentary shows constructive nature, which means they show a construction of the truth. Performative documentaries acknowledge emotional and subjective aspects of documentaries. They present ideas as part of a context which have meanings for different people. They are often autobiographical in nature. Realism in a documentary makes the documentary look and feel real. This could be with stock footage from real events or accurate reconstructions. A dramatization documentary is a documentary where a story is based on an event or situation. However, it is not intended to be accurate and show every detail. This can involve reconstructions, editing, and non-diegetic music. A narrativization is to communicate events or experiences in a narrative form. This could be through the structure of a documentary. For example, showing a series of events in the order they happened. Voiceovers can also be used. These can be used to guide the documentary or give extra information to the audience.